Harambe YouTube, and happy Juneteenth to you all. By the time this video is hitting you, this book has been out for a couple of weeks, but I want to give my thoughts on it. It is a number one issue, so I love a number one issue. Even if it's something that I don't think I will read going forward, if it's an interesting cover, if it's an interesting premise, I'm going to get that number one. And this one is from DC Comics, Mr. Terrific year one, number one. This is a character I honestly was not familiar with, hadn't heard of before this, but I dug the cover, I loved the premise, and I loved the representation of a black man in the lead of a comic book. That's something I'm going to gravitate to for obvious reasons, because I am a black man, and that makes the character relatable to me, especially when it's well written from the aspect of a fellow African American, because of that shared understanding of life. This right here, we get to meet him, and he's at a down point in his life. He has lost his family, they've been murdered, and he is in a deep depression, and he's also dealing with what happened with Darkseid. I believe that was a big story arc. I wasn't following that. I don't follow Superman too much. I read Absolute Superman, but that's not in canon with the ongoing Superman, so I'm not familiar with what happened with Darkseid. But we find him depressed and alone in a messy apartment, and you can tell that he's going through it. He's going through some grief, and an old friend pays him a surprise visit. He's cooking breakfast with him, trying to encourage him to get back to work, to get back to living life. And he's also disturbed because we find out that because like I said, I am not personally familiar with this character. So this book is a great introduction to him and all about him. He doesn't have any superpowers, he says, but his mind is his superpower. So he is a super genius type. And we get the details of how, like, he has his old school muscle car, even though he's in an advanced technological world where he is at the forefront of it. And he's helping his friend develop a technology to improve his fitness company, his fitness subscription company. So they're working on a brand new technology. So we find out that he's very, very smart and a tech genius. And then we cut to on a newscast here. They're talking about how this new building, Prescott Tower in Gateway City, has been causing people to get vertigo and to get sick. And it's because of this engine that, let's see, what's the company name? Yeah, I'm not seeing the company name, but the head of the company is named Athena. And we find out that she actually purchased Mr. Terrific's company. And she seems to be using it toward nefarious intentions. And his friend Dre is trying to get him to speak out. But we find out that he has an indemnity clause when he sold his company to Athena. So he's not willing to break that contract, as well as he doesn't want to get back into the hero business. But later we find out that his hand is indeed forced by his friend. While walking around his workshop, his friend picks up something, and he's kind of fiddling with it, and we find out that it's a master key, which is an important piece of the plot, because after we look at that scene, we see people breaking into that building, the Prescott Towers, and one of them has what he calls a master key. And so we realize pretty quickly that Dre is one of these masked men who used his friend's technology to get in, and it was an attack, an ambush. And Athena saw them coming, had them captured, and he ends up calling Mr. Terrific for a rescue. He's in desperation. He's the only one of the masked men who escaped, Dre that is. And so he calls Mr. Terrific, fires up the vehicle, and we find out, of course, that old school vehicle does have some modern touches that only a super genius would be able to put on there. And so I think this car is going to end up being another part of this world and of Mr. Terrific's story. But what really sets this in motion is the last panel. They were pursued, and his friend was eventually shot by the security of the towers there. And so it seems that his hand has been forced back. He has been forced. He's going to back in and take on a battle he necessarily didn't want, but they killed his best friend. Personally, myself, I probably will not read it going forward because I read a lot of stories like this with similar premises, similar setups, and so it's not me knocking the book at all. A very fun story, a very worthwhile read, and it's a number one that I am glad that I have in my collection. It's just the story does seem like a lot of stuff that I personally read. But if it's something that you haven't read before, I definitely suggest it. I mean, if it's something that, even if it sounds repetitive, it may be a story that you don't mind seeing a new twist or a new face on. And so I highly recommend it. A very good book. Not a book that I'm going to subscribe to, but a book that, who knows, maybe when a new arc starts, maybe I will jump in. But I'm reading too many books, and that can get expensive if you read as many as I do. So this is going to be kind of in the background. I might hop in and hop out depending on what finances are. So check yours, get yours at your local comic book store. And if you don't have a local comic book store, I always suggest my friends at Coffee and Comic. They ship nationwide, have the best rates on shipping as well. Ask about their subscription. And if you're in Wyoming, check out my friends at Spellbound Apothecary and Entertainment. If you're in Wyoming and you order over $35 worth of books, they ship them to you for free. And they're located in Casper, Wyoming in the East Ridge Mall between Best Buy and Target. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep reading them books. I'm out.